That wasn't me. How many times do I have to say it? David Chambers grievously massaged his eyelids and slumped back into his chair. What was the point of this? The sheer number of times recounted the story gave him a throbbing headache. David, calm down. Dr. Olivia Shepherd instructed with a maternal-like stoicism and serenity. Think with your head. You were caught on camera. Who else could it have been? David grabbed the cane next to his chair and shook it violently. Beats me, I'm not good with names. But faces, I know those. And I'm certain that was my clone on the video. Dr. Shepherd grew confused. She leaned forward in her chair and focused her eyes on David as she adjusted her curved, studious-looking eyeglasses. Just breathe and start from the beginning, she instructed. You think I'm crazy? Of course not. David began the hellish walk down memory lane. Each nightmare was worse than the other. I first saw him about a month ago. Dr. Shepherd jotted down notes as he spoke. What did he look like? David glanced over at an old TV and VCR sitting between him and the doctor. That was new. Hey, what's this for? He asked. Later, David. Come on, and now try and stay focused, okay? No distractions. What did he look like? I told you, it was me. It was me. He recalled every detail of himself that came to mind. His cold gray eyes, long and ovate face, square chiseled jaw, his tall thin build, and his short taupe black hair with a cowlick that pointed up just above his left ear. Dr. Shepherd raised her hand that was holding her pen, signaling for this traffic jam of a conversation to come to a halt. Let me stop you right there. In our last session, you mentioned the cowlick being on the other side. David stopped and thought to himself for a moment. I did. Everything was reversed. We even dressed the same. Did he have a cane too? No, he didn't. See, good job. There you go. With what? He smashed his cane against the wall. It's the same stuff every session. How many times do I have to repeat myself? As many times as it takes, David. Her voice had turned from a caring mother to a chastising schoolteacher. As long as it takes to help you understand that there's only one you. Did I ever tell you I was a twin? She sighed. In just about every session. He died when you were 11 years old. Even with the conspiracy theories, focus on the present. She glanced down at David's legs. They were anxiously fluttering about, the right leg in particular. How have you been feeling? Okay, I suppose, he answered. Are you taking your medication? The Abilify? It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I choke it down. What about exercising? David said nothing. He shrugged his shoulders and slumped a little lower in his chair. Now, we talked about this. With sarcopenia, you have to stay as active as you can. Physical activity does the body good, releases endorphins to help make you happy, not to mention the mental benefits. Yeah. Is this what you get paid for? You get paid $6 a minute for this. To teach me stuff that I learned in health class. Tell me something I don't know. Dr. Shepard had the wit of a loaded 6-gun. She quickly fired back with a snappy comment. Well, if you used your gym membership instead of oogling girls in yoga pants for $60 a month, you might land a date with one. Wouldn't a social life be nice? That was a low blow. In his physical prime, David had a build that was the living interpretation of Michelangelo's statue of David, and his James Bond-style looks made him popular with the ladies. Now, it was all being taken away from him, all because of an advanced case of sarcopenia, a word he never heard before and could hardly pronounce. Now a scrawny, withering body rested, where perfectly toned arms and a 6-pack of abs used to call home. Well, I was just on a date not too long ago, you know that, he snapped back. That was when I first saw him. Who? Him. Me. The other me. Well, let's talk about that again. That night. I'd rather not. He tried to think of an excuse he could to get out of this. Time's up anyway. David, we have plenty of time. Talk, but don't waste it. David shut his eyes and tried to remember everything he could. Each deep breath he took propelled another part of him back to another time. First his body, and then his mind. The walls of claustrophobic doctor's office melted away as David vividly navigated the memory of his date. A couple of weeks prior, David had a date with Allison Graham, a lovely young soul he met the way most people do in this age of technology, through a cell phone. After 3 weeks of chatting through video calls and text messages, the pair had finally agreed to meet. It was to be a delightful dinner for two at the quaint Restaurant di Specchi. This was the first date that David could remember being on for some time, and he would bring in his A game. Even though he didn't have the body of an athlete anymore, he maintained an faltering pride and made sure he looked his best. He arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early, dressed in a Spanish gray 2-piece suit. He tugged at the collar of his white shirt, trying to breathe. The slim fit and the material of the suit made him waver and itch with anxiety. Clutching his cane in his hand, he lurched his way over to the bar and ordered a scotch and a soda. He took small, deliberate sips from the glass and periodically glanced down at his watch. The agreed-upon meeting time came, and still Allison wasn't there. He took one last gulp from his drink and beckoned the bartender to order another. 30 more minutes passed, and she still wasn't there. He pulled out his cell phone and dialed her number. He placed the phone to his ear, and it rang twice before he heard a prominent ringing from across the room, over the dull, mundane chit-chat of other patrons. Looking around to determine the source of the noise, David could see a lone woman sitting at a square table, draped in a tablecloth, with a dimly lit candle decorating the center. Hello? A voice spoke into the phone. Hey there, Allison, it's me. I see you there. Don't move. I'll be right over. David hung up his phone and hurried over to the table. While he was pulling out his chair, he noticed that there were 2 sets of drinks on the table. He hoped that he hadn't kept her waiting too long. What, did you get lost or something? She barked at him. He apologized. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't see you sitting there. This was odd. David had still had the text message on his phone. It was there in black and white. They had agreed to meet at the bar. Allison leaned over and playfully nudged him on the shoulder. Guess I have one of those plain faces, huh? There was a warm hint of sensuality in her voice. That sent shivers down David's spine. Oh, no, not at all. There's nothing plain about you. Subtlety just wasn't an option. He couldn't think of any other way to say it. This girl was perfect. She matched her profile to a T, and she needed no filters or Photoshop to augment her already exceptional beauty. Nervous energy made David's leg twitch and vibrate the table. He quickly tried to change the subject and ease any awkwardness. He was sure even the people at the next table felt it. So, what looks good to you? He asked her as he feverishly searched the table for a menu. I'm thinking fettuccine Alfredo. You? Her eyes widened with disbelief. After the dinner we had, I'm embarrassed to even think about food again. What was she talking about? He had only just gotten there. Suddenly, a waiter showed up and slapped the check on the table. David's heart fluttered in disbelief. This couldn't be possible. But there it was before him, an entire meal itemized in black and white. David searched his wallet in his pockets and found nothing. Where could his wallet have possibly gone? He was scouring under the table, assuming his wallet must have fallen out somewhere, when a loud, masculine, exuberant laugh erupted, springing David's head up and slamming it against the table. He climbed back to his feet and investigated the ruckus. Back at the bar, a man clothed in a similar sports coat, as David was, sat amongst a circle of friends, brandishing a leather wallet with the initials DC. He was making promises of free drinks for the rest of the night. Son of a bee. What's the matter? Allison asked. It's that guy over there, David explained. When I was up at the bar, he must have snatched my wallet. Allison tilted to the side to get a better view of the culprit. Stay here. I'll handle this, said David. Allison gave David a look of concession. He puffed up his chest, steadied himself with his cane, and took slow, unbalanced strides back towards the bar. All right, buddy. Hilarious. Give me back my wallet. The man continued laughing amongst his friends. It was as if the words went right through him. Hey! David poked and prodded at the man's shoulder. I said, give me back my wallet. This was the last straw. No more messing around. With all the force he could muster, David grabbed the man by his shoulder and forced him to turn around. He had a ferocious look in his eyes, ready to clobber the thief who had taken his wallet, and with it his hard-earned money. David's rage turned to astonishment when the pair locked eyes. Looking back at him, it was none other than himself. What was going on here? A deafening silence overtook the room. He was staring into a mirror. Every blink, every facial tic, this person could match David with internet speed precision. It didn't stop at the face, though. His double could perfectly mirror any movement he preconceived.